Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. Now, prior to this pandemic ever occurring, we were having a large scale discussion on the number of people that are food insecure in this country. Uh, the people that cannot afford a $400 emergency, that have to choose between medications and food or rent, etc. And so this has really just exacerbated that to an extreme degree. People on fixed incomes and people working multiple jobs to keep a roof over their head and food on the table for themselves and their family. And at this point, I'm sure you've seen images, articles, videos of vehicles, lines of vehicles miles long. Um, Excuse me, I got a little case of the hiccups. Um, that are waiting for food from food banks, and the food banks are running dry. Uh, you know, this is just, we've got to bring up, first of all, that we produce more than enough food to provide for everyone in this country. Globally, we produce way more than enough food to produce for everyone in the world. And we've all heard about farmers turning crops under to keep the prices of crops up at the supermarket. And I don't fault them. They have to make a profit, otherwise they will not stay in business. Um, but you know, but the government will sometimes pay them to turn the crop under to moderate that that market price, rather than pay to buy the crops and distribute it to the needy. We've seen videos recently of um, dairies dumping hundreds, thousands of gallons of milk into drains rather than to ship it to market. And that could be given to all these people waiting at food banks, but they're not going to get paid for it unless the government pays for it, and the government's not paying for it. So uh, I've said many times, we have no heroes. We are our own heroes, and it's time to act like it. Well, right now, we need to act like each other's heroes. I've said before, stay in contact with your friends and family and associates, your neighbors, and understand, keep an eye out for signs that, they may not be open about it, but if they're hungry and they're doing without, you may be able to help them, or they may be able to help you. I grew up in a neighborhood where we helped each other, and during rough times. So, at one time, one family would be without, and a neighbor would be without, and we would help them. Then another time, we'd be without, and they would help us. That's the way things should be. That's the way a community should function. And another thing that we have to keep into account is that throughout history, famine often resulted in the rise of disease, even where there was no disease prior to the famine. And, once you have widespread malnutrition stacking, piling up and people dying from starvation. Well, right now, we already have, such as in New York, large population centers, morgues are being overloaded. They don't have the space for the bodies. They're putting them on freezer trucks. And, yes, there are commercial freezers available, but then you've got to deal with people's emotions about that. These commercial people, the companies that own the commercial freezers, aren't going to want to allow dead bodies to be stored there, even if the bodies are not decayed when they're placed in there. And they won't decay in there once they're frozen. But how will people feel about later on buying food that was stored in a freezer that stored dead bodies? And yes, that information will come out. There'd be no risk as long as the freezer was properly sanitized after the bodies were removed. There's, steam clean it and bleach it and, sanitize it real well. There's not a problem there, except in people's minds. But people are driven by emotions. I brought that up many times. And then, starvation, famine also gives rise to increased crime. People that are hungry and desperate, especially if they have children, they can become very aggressive, violent. But if we're helping each other, we can prevent that from happening. And this is not all going to just magically disappear either. The day that they say the pandemic has ended, not right now, not all landlords or mortgage companies are forgiving, none of them, I don't think any of them are forgiving rent or mortgage payments. They're just deferring it to later. And I've covered that before. So later on, these people that are having their rent or mortgage deferred later, they're going to be hit with massive payments that are due, and they're still going to be facing the same choice between paying for, the roof over their head or food on the table, and in many cases, paying for, medications if they have anybody in the family that is chronically ill or even acutely ill. Even in situations where you've got younger people that are living with a family member on a fixed income, well, if that's to help both of them. Well, if their income has been completely eliminated or drastically reduced, well, now there's more people relying on that one fixed income. So we have to think about all of this. And not just about ourselves. We have to think about others. This is a time that we need to act as a community. All of the anger and aggression and all this me stuff really needs to go out the window right now. Not tomorrow. It's not next week. It's not next month. It's not next year. The time is now for us to become a community. to think about one another, to care, to listen. Keep lines of communication open. We are one big family. Skin color doesn't matter. Gender doesn't matter. Sexual orientation doesn't matter. Religion doesn't matter. None of that matters. We are a community across all lines. And we need to behave that way. We need to care about each other. Stop all the false division. And political party doesn't matter. Okay? Drop all the division. Start paying attention. Start caring. It's not all about money. It's not all about, me. It's not all about, this is mine and you can't have it and all this shit. Too many people are out of work. And I'm actually kind of glad that a lot of the people that are seeing an impact on this are the ones that were all about, well, get a job, And I really hope that a lot of those are the ones that are the hardest hit. I really do. That sounds mean, but I want them to learn something from it. I don't wish them harm. I wish them to learn. Okay? The ones that had all their money in stocks and all this stuff and looked down on other people, I want them to learn. All right. So, another shout out to Mary Giampaolo. I appreciate that you have donated multiple times. Anyone else, if you can donate $1 a month to help me expand the channel and keep it going. Everybody's in a tight spot now, and if you can't right now, keep it in mind. Keep in mind that I'm keeping this going no matter what. It doesn't matter about the pandemic. It doesn't matter who wins the election. I'm still going to keep this going. All right? So maybe later, keep me in mind. Be sure and subscribe. Share this video. Talk about these issues. Because that's my point. I'm all about bringing up issues for people to discuss and think about. And I'm putting my PayPal below and the link to my website. Hopefully my website is back up. There was an issue with it that I had to address yesterday, but it takes 24 to 48 hours for it to be up. If it's not up today, then by tomorrow or so, it should be back up. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you have a good day. Keep talking about issues. Issues unite. Names divide. Doesn't matter what the name is. Republican, Democrat, whatever. Talk about the issues. All right? Have a good one.